Definitely the first months are chaos, and you come home like I did thinking everything will be perfect and I will know how to do breastfeeding and I will know how to do everything. And the reality is that, especially for first-time moms, is not so easy. But the most important, I would say, is get the right knowledge and support.
You go somewhere, you know you need to go somewhere, you don't have directions, it's going to take you a lot longer to where you want to get to where you need to be. You have direct ways, and you're going to get there in much less time. We really do believe that, children survive, but we can help your children thrive.
Welcome to You're Allowed to Hate Your Husband, a modern day love story. This is not about hating your husband. It's not even about having a husband. It's about living a life full of health, happiness, love, success, and joy. We are going to improve your love life by improving your love of life. I am Remy Stern, the founder of Levy by Remy, a dating and relationship coaching business. Join me and my husband, Jonathan, as we help you navigate the world of dating, relationships, and marriage. Because the quality of your relationship determines the quality of your life. So let's make it a good one. It's time to create a life that you love with so much love. So hop right in. Welcome back to You're Allowed to Hate Your Husband. Today's episode is very cool because it is two women who helped me a lot, so I can vouch for it times a million. If you are a new mom, this episode is definitely for you. If you are a mom who feels overwhelmed, either your first child, second child, farther into motherhood, this episode is for you. If you're thinking about having kids and want the knowledge behind it, this episode is definitely for you. It is Dani and Arianne from Todspot, a program that helps you feel very confident in motherhood and gives you the framework and foundation to raise a confident child as well. Again, I can tell you from experience that it works. My daughter is a product, thank God, of Todspot. So we cover so many different things from the early months and that newborn stage up into toddlers and just everything that you could want, from sleep to feeding to mental and attitude, like feeling good as a mom. Definitely hop into the episode because it's going to cover every single thing that you want to hear. I'm so excited to share this with you, and hop right in.
I am Danielle. Most people know me as Dani. I am a registered nurse, and I actually have a master's in public health. And my specialty was always childhood development. And I worked a lot in research, also breast milk research. And then I had my first. And although I was a nurse and I worked at the NICU and trained on everything, I had my first child. And when I brought him home, I'm like, wait, what now? I know what to do in the hospital, but what now? And it was a really big shock to me, especially the standard stuff that we deal with, like the sleep, the routines and the bottles and the breasts. And it was a lot for me. And I think I met Arianne by a common friend introduced. We lived down the street from each other. A common friend introduced us and said, wow, you guys both had babies at the same time. We sat at the park, and that's how we met, because she was just as
I was more lost than you.
I was. And that brings me to Arianne.
I'm Arianne. I am lactation consultant, sleep consultant, and potty training consultant. As Dani said, we met when our first sons were about 3 months. And if you think she was lost, I was very lost. I didn't know anything. I thought that I was going to have a baby and everything was going to come from the sky, and it didn't. And that's when we started into this, research into what to do that is best for our children. We started with sleep. Then we got into lactation. We're both lactation consultants. And then we started to put everything together for ourselves, for our kids. Our friends started asking us, and we started, helping them. And then it started from there. Then we said we need to officialize this. and make it a business. And that's how we founded Todspot. And then we finished with potty training, which was like the next step after the sleep, after lactation, after introducing solids. And that's when we got into potty training.
When we also drove ourselves crazy with the potty training. Then we realized, no, we need to be professional in that too.
And so we created Todspot. Todspot is what we do is we guide and support parents, as you know, Remy, through the first years of life. We believe everything goes in relation. So feeding goes with sleep, sleep goes with development, development goes with independence. And the way we guide parents is seeing the child as one and not as only feeding or only sleeping. Like we see us as one. And that's where we started supporting parents through the first year. We're so proud of it.
Amazing. First of all, I hadn't heard it that way. You guys came into my life just because it was like out of need, you know, and something that's just like, give it to me, whatever. But now looking back on it, that's such a good way to put it, that everything affects the next. And you're right, the feeding at the beginning affects then like the sleep schedule, which what I had wrong because I can't. So I actually, Arianne, love you, known you forever. And you came to me and you're like, oh, you're pregnant, you know, like you should check out Todspot. It's, this is what we do. And it makes me so happy to hear that Danny, who already knew this stuff before, I didn't know that you worked in the NICU, then you get your kid and like, you're like, wait, but what now? Because even I went through the Todspot program. I was already talking with you guys when I was pregnant. And then you get handed the baby and you're like, bleh, like why? You just brain goes like, bye-bye. And you're like, what? And of course there's your intuition and like your mind, it all sure pops in, but like also not really. And I'm sure people listening who are mothers like felt so overwhelmed and they were like, am I alone? So I came to you guys when I was unwell in the beginning. And like, again, I heard these things. I was like, oh, okay. So there's something called a schedule. Well, okay. I don't know. Like, what does that even mean? There's breastfeeding. Like, I know the baby like does something here. Okay. It feeds like, but you cannot wrap your mind around it until it happens and the baby comes. And from my experience, what I learned, actually, I'm just going to give you guys like probably what I remember the most. You also forget. That's like the most insane part is like, I'm about
more. You forget.
Totally.
Oh my God, you forget. I forget all of it. So please help me. But was the biggest thing was that I always thought the baby was like stomach hurt, hungry, something, but like the baby was just always tired, like overtired. And I wasn't giving the allotted amount of time to sleep. And I feel like that was like, this stuff sounds so like potentially silly if you're not in it, but that changes your life. And just getting on this routine. And I love that you guys say it's like babies should come with a manual, something like that. There's like a cute little thing you say like that, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's true. It's like we don't realize that there's a solution. You know, there's different philosophies, sure, but I have to say, and I'm not meaning to brag and, you know, poo-poo putting out there, but like my child, thank God, is an angel child. Like she's so easy and like fun. And I really a lot of that to you guys structuring it because she feels so comfortable and like it's one of those things that parents are like, oh, your kid's crying because she has to go to bed now, or like she's probably doing that because she doesn't want to go to bed. I'm like, no. She loves going to bed. Like she's like, Mama, putting my blanket on, like sleep sack, like hop into bed, like see you later, bye-bye. Like she loves, and normally that's like such a fight for people, you know, like food eating, we're having a little bit of other things, but it's fine. I'm like totally fine on it right now.
There's always something. Always something. No one child is like, you know, perfect. It's always something.
And eating is a big trigger for moms.
Big trigger.
Like,
yeah. I kind of came to the mindset of just like, she's not going to starve. Like she'll be okay.
Yeah.
Like
I think there was also like a big power and like we see a lot on social media. We learn a lot, you know, out and about, whether you study it or you learn it from your pediatrician or, you know, wherever you learn things from, and you know you need to do certain things. And so like for me, I think that the biggest struggle and having my first and, you know, such a newborn and being your own is that you need to do certain things, right? We see that we need to do that independent play. We see that we need to do tummy time. We see that we need to do, like, there's so many things that we need to do because we know we need to do them, but just when and how and where.
I don't think I knew that you needed to do those. Like, I don't think I did. Like, no. Does anyone tell you these things? I don't know.
Because we built it in for you.
Well,
So
you told me,
True.
but without you guys telling me, I have a great pediatrician. I love her. She's so cute, but like, I remember actually she told me, she's so sweet. Like, this is nothing against her, but I think she said to me, like, every time you breastfeed, always top off with something else, like every single time, so the kid's not hungry. And like, now look, and I remember I like tried it because I had no idea what I was doing. And looking back on it, like, I just don't think that's the right. There's so much information and you're listening and you're this and you're just so confused. Plus your hormones are going crazy and you're not sleeping and you and your husband for the first time ever are dealing with, like, we've got this child. Like, it is such mayhem in the most beautiful way possible. And to have someone like you guys who it's just like, here you go, here are the answers when you need solutions to the problems, like, changes every single thing.
I wanna tell you something. First of all, thank you for trusting us, because you know it takes a lot for a mom to trust someone into doing things for the love of your life, you know? And really, I thank you for that. And second is, you are very happy with who your child is. And yes, we might have given you guidance and support, but it also says a lot about you as a mom. You know, like you're very dedicated to her. You're always looking for what's best for her. You're always, you know, doing your research, and that is the result of who she is.
Thank you.
And number 3, I love that you said that she goes happy to sleep. And that's what we want to build, because that's what parents think it's impossible. And we see it with our kids. We see it with most of our Todspot moms. They go happy to sleep. And that's the goal. We want them to go happy to sleep. We don't want sleep to be, you know, them. Obviously, some kids cry. And at the beginning, it's a little bit of that. But at the end, that is the goal, for them to thrive on consistency, to know what to expect, to go to sleep happy, to eat happy, not necessarily a lot, but to sit down whenever they need to sit down.
It's such a true thing. And what we started with was like, okay, fine, like sleep, that's great. Like your kid goes to sleep happy. That's like 15 minutes of your day, but it changes who they are and how they live life. Like Juliet this morning cried going into school, but it was more just like a ripple effect of like being influenced by people around her. But typically, because she loves routine, this is 2.5 years later, right, of starting this work, because she loves routine, she loves the idea of like, okay, now I know it's Monday, you know, I prep her on Sunday, like tomorrow's school, who's excited? Like, I know it's Monday. I know that mom's going to walk me to school at this time. Maura Melanie is going to be waiting for me outside. I'm going to run into Maura. Like, she loves the consistency, the routine. And guess what? Yes, thank God I'm doing it for her because I love her. But like, I'm going to throw in a little selfishness. Like, I'm also doing it for myself because like it makes my life a whole lot easier.
But you are the result of that. Like, you don't do it for you. You do it for her.
Of course
and
not.
therefore you are benefited too. And
Yes.
your husband is, and your whole house and your whole family is.
Well, that's the cool thing about this work is like, if you're sitting here listening to this and like, whether you're in the middle of it, whether you think you're too far, because there's also, you're like, wait, I'm 6 months, I'm a year down the line. And like, I didn't figure this out sooner. I hope everybody finds you guys early enough, but if they don't, you guys hop in and crush it. But it doesn't just help the baby sleep. It doesn't just help the baby eat. It helps the mom also live her best life in order to give to the baby, which allows the household to be a really happy, warm, loving, easy place.
That's like the extra plus. So we do focus on the child and what the child needs. And then in return, you also have that whole side where like it frees up your time. Like you also know what to expect. And so like a lot of parents struggle too, right? Uncertainty, not knowing what's wrong with the child or not knowing why they're crying or if they're hungry and stuff. And so like all of that plays in to to the whole picture when Arianne said that we really take into account like a whole, like the child as a whole, family as a whole. And that's why we work on like the 24-hour day.
It's
basically
amazing. I love it. So, like you said, it's complete chaos at the beginning. It's like you can't feel. I remember my baby nurse was so bad. I went through so many, but she was like,
I remember.
oh my God, I went through. I'm like petrified. I'm literally traumatized. I hope my baby nurse is good. But she was like, oh, your baby like doesn't like how you do this. Your baby's colicky. Your baby's this, and like that's all you hear is that because the baby cries. Like that's the bottom line is your baby's going to cry.
The only way they know how to communicate.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the baby's okay. It's crying, so figure out what it needs. But that beginning, it's especially for first time mom. Let's see how it goes. You guys both have two, so like we'll see how it goes second time. What would you guys say is the first place to start when someone's feeling that chaos? I'll say one more thing just in my own experience. I remember I started before I gave birth with you guys, and like you guys told me what to order, and it was cute, and like we had a fun little group chat or like a video call that loved. It was so fun. But again, you don't really understand. I think for the first 2 weeks, and it's only 2 weeks, but like didn't show up to the calls, didn't write things because my brain just wasn't there. And then I remember one day being like, okay, this is not good. Like I'm like, I remember one of the calls I showed up like sweating and I'd been like up since 4 a.m. with her on my boob thinking she just needed to feed for so long. She was so hungry. And I was like, there's something wrong here. And the way I say it was, I felt like a chicken with my head cut off type of, like I was just like running around trying to figure stuff out. And 2 weeks in, I remember, I don't know what we did. So I'm going to ask you guys, but we got to something. We got to some sort of routine, some sort of something. And from that day on, my life changed. And I know that this is from you guys because you've done it with so many people I love. But what is that first place for someone to start with? That it's like, hey, your kids, you don't know what to do? Start here. Let's start at this place.
So I think you're talking more about like newborns, right?
Yes.
You come from the hospital, you know, you're in your groove at the hospital because there's a nurse there and they're like, you do this and you do that and you're good and mom is great. And then you go home and you're like, wait, where is that lady telling me that mom was great? And so you come home and like you said that there's chaos, right? There and you know, like that's so being especially first time mom, like that is part of being a first time mom, going through those hurdles. Like it's definitely part of it. And if anyone out there does feel like they're going through that, that's very normal. And there's so many hormonal changes that go on in the body. It's all very normal. But I feel like the first place to start is really to first make you know, get yourself your mental health in check. Like I think that's like the most important, right? Because if mom isn't happy, if mom is flustered, if mom is frustrated, if mom doesn't feel right, which is completely normal. Like I said, there's so many hormonal changes that happen, right? Postpartum
and your life is changing.
Your
like,
life is changing
100%.
So I feel like the first place to start is in yourself. If you feel like you're sad, if you feel like you're just not equipped, if you feel like you're not right, if you know, I would just say work on yourself. That's really a good place to start. And then obviously like breaking down on the needs of the baby, you know, sleep and eat. And I feel like those are really, I don't know if you want to add to something.
No, definitely the first months are chaos, and you come home like I did thinking everything will be perfect and I will know how to do breastfeeding and I will know how to do everything, and the reality is that especially for first time moms is not so easy. Breastfeeding is not easy, but the most important I would say is get the right knowledge and support. And when I mean support, I don't mean going to the doctor every 2 weeks and them telling you that your baby's gaining well, all check. Like you need good support. You need daily support. You need a community. You need a village. And most times this community and this village doesn't have to be your mom. It's part of it, definitely. Your mom, your friend, your uncle, your aunt, whoever you want to involve. But a lot of times it's someone that will understand you and is going at the same time through the same thing. And that's something we do. We create these groups, let's say, for example, from 0 to 2 months, where we have moms with newborns and we not only guide them through breastfeeding, We tell them everything to be done. If the mom chooses to breastfeed, if the mom chooses not to or can't for some reason, we encourage bottle feeding. And then how to get sleep into place. It's not a routine since day one. It's not strict, but you can start building good habits. You can have a flow in your first 2 months. And so I would say that knowledge and support will give you the confidence to make the right decisions. And the right decision for you is not going to be the right decision for me. So we don't tell you do this. We tell you the research. We tell you what works. And then you decide what works for your family.
Yeah, and I want to add to that because mental health plays a huge role in the beginnings, right? And so there's something about being empowered, right? Being empowered it's like a bridge to more of a successful journey because you already know what to do, because you already have your groove, because you have time fit in, like you said, you had time for yourself too, and like you were being a little selfish. And so it very much goes in hand to hand. And so that's why I said, if I would say the first thing is checking yourself and making sure you're in the right place, and obviously if not get help. But I feel like especially with first time moms, being very confused about the whole thing is kind of what triggers a lot of like the chaosness, right? And so you saw it with yourself, right? You kind of were like in this chaos, and then you found help, you found support. Mm-hmm. And knowledge is power.
I want to add one thing, and that is that even if you have the knowledge and the support, things might not go as planned.
Correct.
So obviously having the knowledge and support gives you a sense of like a vision on where you want to be, how you want to do things. But these things are not exactly, the result is not going to be exactly like you want it. With newborns, it's totally unpredictable. A million things can happen in a day, in 2 days, in a week. So things will fluctuate, but you will still, if you have the right support, if you have the knowledge, you will still have a vision. You will have a sense of where you're going and how you're going to get there, even if the road is a little bumpy, is different, but you'll have somewhere to look for. Yeah. Because if you just go in and start like surviving, which most moms survive the first 2 months, including ourselves, it's like it creates a lot of anxiety inside ourselves.
100%. It's everything. Like, I don't even know where to hop in because there's so much. But like you're saying, Arianne, it's like having ways, like say you have to get from here to wherever, say like the Hamptons, whatever. But if you don't know how to get there, you just kind of know-ish where you want to go, but you don't have ways, it is very stressful. And no, you can't be confident about your drive to wherever you're going. But if you at least have ways, like you have like, oh, turn left here, turn right here, do this, there might be like road work and you're like, shoot, like Waze didn't figure it out. Or there might be like, you might make a wrong turn, whatever. But like having that framework, having that structure. And then you're right. That's the second part that is you guys do that is unlike any other, is that community portion of it, which not that this is about sales, but I don't even think that you guys like sold that up in the way you didn't explain it to me, that I was going to gain this unbelievable community. And I waited for every Wednesday to have the calls. I could ask at any second, like having that, like, oh my God, this is happening. What do I do now? In the group chat, like just helps so much. And thank God I also do have a community in New York who like, we all were giving birth right around the same time. And a lot of them were second-time moms. So they could hop in and like give me advice too. But there's so much information that it does get very confusing. And one person's going to say this and you don't know who to agree with because you don't. Like now, this time I'm going to be like, I know that like her and I didn't do it the same way the first time. And like, I'm probably going to do it different than her this time because I like the way I did it. Her way works for her. All the power to her. But like now I have some better framework. But having the support, having at least the directions of the foundation, like it's super important. And then the mental health, of course, it's one of the things that Jonathan told me. I think it was probably a month postpartum, maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And he was like, okay, back up on your feet, go hang out with friends, go do this. And I was like, no. I want to be like in sweatpants, depressed in the house, not brush my hair, not like shower for it. And he was like, no, put on some makeup, put on a dress and go party with your friends. And I was like, but I don't want to. And he was right. Like getting up and getting back to who you are. For me, working out like changed the game because it also got me out of the house at around the same time every day. And I was like, okay, this is my time for me. But without her new schedule, which was good old 9 to 11, 1 to 3 with like cat nap. I think that's how it goes, right? Remind me. I think 9 to, I'm like, can't wait for the 9 to 11, 1 to 3 cat nap. But it allows you to have that. So let's say, I guess we could break it down because you said it's 0 to 2 months. I remember 0 to 3, but 0 to 2 months.
0 to 2. Yeah.
So what is the most important thing for someone to focus on? Maybe with the kid, because of course, mental health is super important. So like reach out to me also on that front. One of my friends her and I probably align more on our like parenting styles. She told me before I gave birth, she goes, try to embrace the time where like it sounds so weird, but like you and your baby are both in diapers together and like embrace the time that you're getting no sleep because it's not going to last. Like you're okay. You're going to be fine. You'll get sleep again. Like all is well. But she was like, get excited for that time and like, just let it happen. Whatever. You'll be up in the middle of the night, but embrace it. And it made me like it a whole lot more. So like, yes, embracing the chaos. But what would you say is the first place for people to start 0 to 2 to like start to get things in check? In order?
I want to say something very important, and we see it on and on and on with our moms, is that you can prepare for it. So our 0 to 2 months is information from 0 to 2 months, but we start since pregnancy. And a lot of us, including myself, we believe that information will come. Like I went to deliver my son not knowing anything, nothing. I didn't know like how to put the baby on my boob, literally nothing. And until I struggle, I started looking for information, looking for support. But you don't have to struggle. Like we have the 0 to 2 months, the newborn course, so that you take it around 6, 7, 8 months. You get to your birth prepared. We don't cover a delivery, but we cover everything since the baby is born. And so having information in your head, correct information, not Instagram information, where you can find good information on Instagram, but like complete information, how to start and sustain a breastfeeding journey. If you don't want to breastfeed, how to bottle feed correctly. How to, start with newborn sleep, like swaddling and wake windows and all of that gives you a sense of confidence. And when you have your baby, it will definitely change your experience. Not knowing is easy at the beginning, but then you find yourself into struggle.
2 days later, when you have to go home.
Yeah, when you're home, baby crying all night. But having the information and then having, delivering your baby and being empowered. Again, you're not going to be 100% empowered because if you're a first-time mom, this will all be new and the information will just be information. But at least you have, I love how you said, you have foundation.
Prepare.
And you're prepared and you know where you're going, or at least where you need to be, even if the circumstances are not perfect. So I think that's key. And I really like to mention it because we see most moms come to us at 2 months when they're like, I cannot with this baby anymore. Like, I need to sleep. Most of them have a lot of postpartum anxiety, and it's part of it, of course, is hormonal and it's normal. But a lot of it is, not sleeping, not knowing what to do, breastfeeding. For a lot of moms, it's really hard if you don't have the right support. And so I think that's really important for me to mention because you don't have to struggle. You will struggle. Like we all struggle in different ways, but there is a way to like decrease the struggle.
100%.
And it doesn't have to be Todspot. Like in our newborn course, we cover everything from breastfeeding, bottle feeding, sleep, baby care, general baby care, when to bathe your baby, what to do with the umbilical cord. Like we cover everything so that you're empowered to making the right choices. And so
true.
It's like your driving analogy. You go somewhere, you need to go somewhere. You don't have directions. It's going to take you a lot longer to where you want to get to where you need to be. You have your ways,
yes.
and you're going to get there in much less time.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we first started Todspot, we tried to, I remember when we tried to come up with like a slogan, right?
Yeah.
And we were like, we knew what we wanted to say, which was basically like, we just couldn't figure out to make it in a slogan, but this is like die hard what we believe in. And like, we really do believe that, yeah, children survive, children do survive, but we can help your children thrive. And so like, that's where our information comes in.
It's so true. And in my opinion, that's kind of this field that probably took off a lot in the last few years, which is the information, coaching, community type of field, which is like, yeah, let's say for someone working with me who like wants to meet a partner or wants a good relationship or wants to love their life, like you'll totally get there. Like I've so much faith that you will get there. It could be tomorrow without my work, but this just gives you the ability to like not survive through it and like sometimes really be miserable in it, because life is hard, especially without having like someone there to guide you through it and to really thrive through it and to take you from where you are now to where you want to be and shorten the gap. Like there is nothing like it. And my biggest thing as well is if you've been through something and like it was so hard for you, turn around and go help other people through it, because if you've overcome it, if you've gotten the information, the tools, and you know that you needed it at the time, someone else definitely needed it. So I was that. Thank God I came to you guys. And in the weird, it's like such a weird balance, because I did a lot of like doula work, thinking about like the birth and the relaxing into it and the opening up and the spiritual experience. And like, I was all for it, and I did all of this work for the birth. But it's kind of like planning for your wedding. It's like you do all of this work for planning for your wedding, and then it's like, wait, but then you're married afterwards for the rest of your life. And like, why'd no one tell you to plan for that too? And like, it's the birth. And of course, there's different types of births, the whole deal. Thank God. Ours was smooth and easy. But you do want to prep. So 0 to 2 is kind of like relax into the mayhem, start this wake window. I remember something that was important to me was I used to feed Juliet for like as long as I thought she needed. But like the 15, right? 15 minute to keep it at 30 minutes, like teach her. And this is something now that I'm dealing with again. It's like, okay, Juliet, this is breakfast time. You're going to sit for however long we're going to decide to sit. If you eat your food, great. If you don't, you'll be hungry, but like go, enjoy, have your day, be hungry. And so building that in for kids starting at literally 0, like 0 is super important. But would you say that 0 to 2 months, best thing to focus on is your mental health, beginning this framework of structure for a kid, but it doesn't have to look perfect, and getting the support, getting that. Would you say that's like the first most important place to start?
Yeah, I would say be prepared and check yourself, like check your own mental health.
Rest, recover. Mm-hmm. I want to add a couple of things that it's important to say. Number one is that we built something that we would want it to have for ourselves. We will never teach our moms anything that we don't practice ourselves with our own kids. So you can trust that whatever we're teaching you, we trust ourselves.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two is when you start, like I don't know if you did, Rem, but if you start working with a lactation, we're both lactation consultant and sleep consultant. So when you start working with a lactation consultant, she tells you one thing. And I'm not saying one is wrong or one is better. I'm just explaining how we work. The lactation consultant tells you one thing, and then you get a sleep coach, and the sleep coach tells you another thing. And you're in that conflict of like, what do I do? Because I want to sustain my best breastfeeding journey, but I want my baby to sleep well too. And so that's when we came in, we created this plan, we created this method together where sleep can work with breastfeeding, it can work with formula feeding, it can work with bottle feeding, it can work with both, it can work with anything. And so that's something very important for me to say here, because it's not one or the other. Mm-hmm. It's not your baby eats well but doesn't sleep well. You can build something in your child where everything flows.
Yeah, it's a wholesome approach. I mean, if I'm going to relate it to my work, it's someone's going to come to me typically because they want to love their life. They want to meet someone. They want to love their partner. Like it's going to be a lot about that. But you look at, okay, how's your career looking? How's your social life? How's your body movement? How's your this? Like, if you don't look at the whole picture, if you don't zoom out and look at everything, then it's just going to be a mess regardless. So in this, it's the same thing. It's a kid. It's a human being that we're raising. Like, they're a wholesome person. You can't break it up. I did not work with anyone else besides you guys. So whatever you guys did worked fabulously. So thank you. Yeah.
I want to add one more thing, because I think that in Arianne, we're very different people, by the way. I'm like very type A, and she's very lax. And so like the courses and the support is all very much mixed. It's a balance. And like, that's what we really believe in, the balance. But I want to say one thing. She went into her first not knowing anything, and I went in knowing too much. And I went to seek information from so many places. And I, like what you said before, like you just know too much. And so we also filter that out for you. We filter out like the information that doesn't really work to the information that's like evidence-based, experience-based will work. For sure.
And trust me, she's done the research. Like
Bravo.
every single thing she's done the research for.
I see. I love when someone like did the research, came to me, gave me the spark notes, and I'm like, great. Just tell me.
When I had my first, I was like, I mean, on my nightstand, I had like 5 books, right? And even like my pediatric nursing book, and like I went, made sure to get it through, and just there was like too much information that like didn't really work.
It's literally either too much or too little, but that sweet spot is very difficult to find.
Right.
So thank you guys for that. So I want to move forward into like, okay, you said the 2 month. People come to you a lot at 2 months. 2 months is a long time to be struggling with like sleep and feeding and it's one of those weird things. I remember at the hospital, they're like, you have to watch this like shaking your baby video, like no shaking your baby. And I was like, that is the weirdest thing I've ever heard. Why would they ever have you watch that? I got home and I remember one time I was about to like, Blatch, you crazy. Like I wanted to shake her, and like, it's just, mentally for a woman, it's tough. And then it's tough on the relationship. Like Jonathan's whole thing is, at least for the first month, you just say, yes, my love, to anything I say. Like I'm going to say some crazy things, but it's like, you want to go to Nicaragua? Yeah, my love. Like, let's find, when do you want to go? Like, you want to go sky? Yeah, whatever you say, like, let's just go. But like, you're really in this mayhem place. And so 2 months is a long time to feel that way, but it's also not in the grand scheme of things. But 2 months, someone comes to you, they're like, what the heck is going on? I haven't figured out. Where would you start for them? What's the first place that you're like, this is where to begin?
So the nice part about the 0 to 2 is that we build these healthy like sleep and eating habits, and they very much roll into 2 months. So, if you haven't been with us through that, like 2 months can be a little chaotic. And if you meet us at 2 months, we definitely start building up those sleep habits and those eating habits. And I think that's a really good place to start, is to establishing like kind of a routine. And it doesn't have to be very strict, because we don't believe in something so strict, so little, but some sort of a routine to start building healthy habits. And yes, you can build them from 0. I don't know, a lot of people say like, no, it's just whatever the baby wants. And no, healthy sleeping habits, healthy eating habits can be built from 0. So if you're meeting us at 2, we're still going to start up to build those healthy habits as well.
And what is that routine going to look like at 2 months?
Yeah, to be more specific, at 2 months, we start focusing more on sleep and feeding. So we do an eat, play, sleep routine.
Oh, I remember this. I forgot, but now I remember.
How come you forget? This is
it really is such, because you've got the potty train, then this, and I can't even remember what I did this morning. Like
about forgetting, this is not only for first-time moms. Like we get moms that are 4th-time moms, and they say that this changed everything for them.
My cousin came to us at 4th time.
I think I know someone who did too. Okay, so we've got the eat, play, sleep. Oh, I remember this.
We would tell you exactly what to do. So our routine, our schedule will tell you, at this time you feed, at this time they play, at this time they should be in bed. And so we take into consideration feeding windows, eating windows. The weight of the baby is very important. Mm-hmm. The weight and age of the baby is very important. We start building setting the routine of the day, and as a result your nights are going to be easier. So we start with the day, and then we start with a kind of a routine for the night, not so strict, and if you follow what we advise, then the night it starts flowing, and you won't even need to have like to do like a proper sleep training. So they do it on their own, based on like parameters.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, the habits that we build during the day end up like spilling overnight, and they end up kind of like, you know, extending feeds or kind of sleeping longer because of the structure that we've built during the day. And also, like, everything that you need to do during the day, we've done the research for you and we've built it in for you. So it's like zero thinking about what you need to do. Everything that is on our routine, our schedule is, you know, has been researched, the amount of time, the length, everything has been built for you. So it's like, you don't need to go and think like, oh, are you doing this? And are you doing this? It's all there researched for you.
So good. Yeah. I remember that for some reason that eat, play, sleep just made so much sense to me. It like changed everything. Cause again, there's no structure to this baby. I think I heard that like when the baby's in your stomach, because you're not like walking and swaying during the night, nighttime is actually when the baby's like awake and kicking the most. And during the day when you're walking, it like kind of puts the baby to bed. This could be complete not true, but we have to like bring in this new routine for kids. So having that eat, play, sleep, and the swaddle sleeping, again, these are all things that like changed my life. If you guys don't know about this,
the swaddle, please swaddle your baby.
and what, just like for anyone out there who doesn't understand this, what would play look like for a really young little baby? Like, what do you mean by play?
I want to add something important before I tell you about play, is that we also include bonding time. We are also advocates of secure attachment. So by having a consistency, and I love that you said it at the beginning, by having a consistent schedule, by having a routine, they feel more secure. Mm-hmm. So by them feeling more secure, they feel, you know, you're giving them food, you're giving them attachment, you're giving them love, you're giving them the play, which is part of development, and you're giving them sleep. So you're taking care of their needs, and therefore they will most likely have a secure attachment with you. So it's not, we hear it a lot, if you do sleep, if you do start building sleep habits, and your child will feel abandonment, and we don't do it like that. We do it very slowly according to what the family is comfortable doing, and it can look different in many ways. But the key is the consistency. If kids know what to expect, they will thrive, they will feel secure. And so going back to play.
Even some adults, honestly. Even some adults, you go into work, you know what to expect. Like, you're going to feel more accomplished, more.
For sure.
Go into chaos and you're like, wait, what? And it's the same for kids.
Yeah. No, just before we go into play, because I heard a podcast recently and it's about kids like more toddler age. But they were like, if you were on a plane and it was super turbulent, super, super bumpy.
She always gives that example.
I know that Dr. Becky gives that example.
I think it's probably her. It was something about like, if there's one pilot that's like, oh, it's not even bumpy, relax, like doesn't care. Like, it's like, go to bed when you want, do that, you know, but like that type of mentality. You're like, wait, but I'm freaking out because it's bumpy. You're not validating me, or you're not giving me the like information I need. You're not giving me the structure. Like, you're going to panic. If there's another one who's like super panicked, not doing anything, you're going to freak out. But if there's one that's like, everyone first, and this is more toddler because you're going to explain something to them before they're freaking out. But like, first of all, it is bumpy and I'm sorry we're experiencing this. Everything's okay. I'm just going to like let you know, but I understand that you're feeling a little bit nervous right now, but don't worry, sit down, put your seatbelts on. Nothing's going to happen. I'll explain to you why nothing's going to happen, but this is what we're going to do next. We're actually going to divert the plane. We're going to land in this place. Like, listen, like everything's okay, but this is what's happening. Like, the more you can expect, know, you're going to be like, oh, I feel so comfortable with this pilot. And I think sometimes parents get like, okay, but if I like make them do something right now, they're not going to like me, and they're not going to feel that secure attachment. But it's like that pilot who's like, sit down, put your seatbelt on. You feel more comfortable with them.
Perfect. I also want to say that it brings me to your point with like when someone's not sure, when a parent is not sure what they need to do. So kids were connected to us for 9 months and they very much still stay connected to us, right? They know our heartbeats, they know the way we are, they know the way we talk. Like they know us better, better than we think they know us. And so when you feel like I don't know, should I do this? I don't know, maybe let me try to put her down here. Okay, maybe let me just feed her. No, you know what? Let me just like swaddle her. No, that's not working. So when you feel that kind of like confusion, they feel it too. So they're just as confused. They're just as like shocked, and uncertain, and they feel super uncertain as you do. So that's also something nice, and we always tell our parents, like, we really do help you feel confident and be confident of what you are doing, and that inadvertently transfers over to your child, because then your child feels confident because you feel confident, and like they know, okay, I got this. And that's like a really big point of why we do this too.
At 2 months, we see it a lot with the swaddle, and you probably went through it. I don't remember, but every mom we have tells us, my child hates the swaddle. And we tell them, push through. It really helps. And when you know it's good for them, even if they complain and you push through, you end up in a point where you're like, I don't want to get rid of the swaddle. What should I do now? Which is most moms go through this cycle of they hate the swaddle, they push through, and they're like, I can't get rid of the swaddle. Mm-hmm. And it's the same in a car seat. Like if your baby is crying in the car seat, you're just not going to take them out of the car seat and carry them in your arms because you know what's safe for them. So even if they cry and they complain, you are in charge. They were born with a parent because they don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. Going to development at 2 months is sleep. So main things we recommend is swaddle, wake windows, try to put them to sleep awake in their crib. Try, it won't be perfect, but try to do that. Then play. The main thing about play is tummy time.
We build up to that too. We know kids don't like it.
Yeah.
We know we don't like putting our kids in, in those kind of like crying like crazy. But it's something that you can build up to. And so we start with you, we help you. And
they start with 3 minutes and then 4 minutes and then 5 minutes. We do it slowly, but tummy time is very important. We encourage independent play.
For the first 6 months, correct.
Yeah. We encourage independent play, which is the child playing on their own.
So independent play is like, I think for me, one of the most, it's all very important, but this is truly what I see I'm very passionate about, because when kids play independently, you don't realize they're going through like so much learning, right? They're learning how to get creative. Okay, now I'm playing alone. Okay, what the hell am I going to do here? Oh, look at that toy. I can do this with that toy. Creativity. Oh, wait. My mom put like a table here. Wait, I'm stuck. How the hell am I gonna get it? Okay, I gotta problem solve. And so like it teaches them creativity, problem solving,
confidence.
Right. And so like that's something big that we always say. Confidence is not something you can just give your child. You can't say you're good at this. No, confidence is something that a child when they achieve something, they feel confident. It's not something that you can just pass on to your kid. They really have to earn it to feel it. And so the independent play really does build so much confidence, builds intelligence, right? Independence. We always say also independence equals intelligence, because you let kids figure things out by themselves. My son was like 6 months and he had a bear that pushed songs, right? You press the button, it pushed songs, and he only liked one song. And at like 6 or 7 months, he knew that he had to push 3 times to get that song. And so he figured this out alone. And so giving your child the space to figure things out alone is magical.
Again, if you don't do these things, you're not in it, you don't realize how important this is. But that's very hard for a mom, because the teachers at school were like, okay, let Juliet take her jacket off by herself, because in New York we have to like put on these big jackets. And the minute I see her taking off her jacket, I'm like, I got it. And I like pull it off for her. And I'm like, oh, look, Remy, stand back. Like watch her struggle through like taking off. I mean, it's even like the walking analogy, but like actually for kids in life, it's like, you got to let them fall to get back up, or else they're never going to learn how to walk on their own. And like, you want to teach the person how to catch a fish. You don't want to just give them a fish every time. And like, I think in motherhood, that's like one of the hardest things ever, is letting go and being like, let your child fall, let your kid get stuck, and like, don't go help them, like breathe through it, like look at this direction, but it's going to help them.
Give them the opportunity to fall asleep on their own. Give them the opportunity to do independent play. Give them the opportunity to problem solve. Give them the opportunity to take out their jacket. And a lot of time we forget about giving the opportunity. And something we say very often, especially when we encourage at 4 months the child holding their own bottle, the babies that are bottle feeding. And what we say is, the more you do for them, the less they'll do for themselves. So if you are holding the bottle for them, they're like, why would I hold my own bottle? But if you give them the opportunity, again, to do it on their own, they will figure it out because they are capable of doing it. It's the same with potty training. We were speaking before about potty training. If you take out the diaper and you give them the opportunity to, potty train, then they will do it. Some kids, it will take them 3 days. Some kids, it will, would take 3 weeks, but is giving them the opportunity to do it.
That lets them know, mommy thinks that I could do it. Not giving them opportunity also like shies them away from them, right? You take them away from achieving these things. And so that's also a big point, is that, you giving your child this opportunity is telling your child, I trust that you can do this. You got it. You can do it.
I think that's like literally my favorite point, because that travels through kids, getting older and learning these things for themselves. And it's so funny because it's one of the things I always pray for with Juliet. Like, I'm always like, please, like, let her be a confident person, because there's nothing I think more important than in life, like going on and on and on, being like, I can do this. I can do the hard thing ahead of me, because like, that life is going to give you hard things. Let them work through it. And for a new mom, whether it's your first kid or that beginning stages, when you put the kids to bed you put them in awake and they're crying and you're like, but I need to go in and just like do it like this. It's like, they're going to sense that like fear that they can't do it. So they're not going to do it. I'm having that with feeding right now, where I didn't realize when my nanny was spoon feeding, because I would always like kind of run out at that time. And now, like, why would Juliet want to feed herself? She's at school and she's like, teacher, come feed me. And the teacher's like, no, I've got 15 other students to deal with. Like, I'm not feeding you.
Yeah, happened with my second son. I didn't notice. They sent me a picture saying, please ask Sarah, that's the name of my nanny, to stop feeding David.
No, it's still a problem. And I think what you also have to do, and I think this is something, I read an amazing book called, I think, The Baby Whisperer, Secrets of the Baby Whisperer. Yeah. And it says, even from a very young age, like, talk to your baby, even from like the 0 months, like, speak to your baby, because they do, obviously they're not understanding you, but even like in toddler stage, if they're not like speaking fully, like, they do understand. So if you say to, let's say, Juliet with the food thing, be like, my love, like, you can have it's so much more fun when you take the spoon, you feed yourself, then you can decide how much you want. Mommy's not going to decide for you. You can decide. And like, in that going in, like, if you're putting your baby to bed, at least for yourself, being like, my love, like, you're going to have the best night of sleep. I'm going to put you in the bed crib and you're going to fall asleep on your own, and you've got this. You can do hard things. Like, also Juliet's so scared of like going down things. She loves climbing up. She loves like climbing up things, but the minute she's up, she like hates slides. And she's like, like freaks out. And I'm like, you can do hard things. Like, I know it's scary, but like, you can do hard things. So I think, and you guys said this at the beginning, like, where a mother's at mentally and how she can show up for her kid, then for herself, for her family, like this whole big ecosystem, this wholesome thing. Like, if she can show up with feeling like she has the knowledge, the confidence, the strength in herself to do this, then the kid is going to feel that. She's going to be able to put them on this routine, on this schedule that is super important for them. Again, also for her, because the moms here, they don't want to feel stressed out. Like, they want to be able to go to the workout class or go back to work and feel comfortable, or go to lunch with a friend here and there and like enjoy their life again. So that confidence and allowing your kid to experience that confidence in themselves is game changing. And you guys have this framework and structure for this. Am I correct in saying
this? Put it into simple terms is trusting that they can do it. And we recently went to a conference, and if there's one thing we got from it, and that we've been believing in it, but now it was like so clear, it was that trust your child. Trust your child that she can put her sweater on, even if she can't. Trust that she can. Even if you don't think your child is capable of sleeping on their own, trust, if you're doing it and if you're confident, trust that they can do hard things, because we all can do hard things. And if they feel that you trust them, most likely they will trust themselves too.
And trust that they can deal with doing hard things. I'll never forget, I sent my son to a new school, and new parents all go to like a seminar with, you know, the principal, and the principal tells us, like, let your child forget the water bottle. Let them forget the jacket. Trust that they know, and trust that they will learn how to deal with these real life situations. And like we've been talking about, it's like really all about setting your child up for success from the very beginning. And that's what like our true passion lies, is really is that, yes, like even very little, they're still capable of so much, and like the potential is crazy.
Is there any last thing that you think is super important for moms, first time, second time, any stage of it, to like really remember?
I think it's important, and maybe this will help moms or new moms going through it, is what to focus on, or what we focus on each stage. So what we said, 0 to 2 months, you're working on feeding, either breastfeeding, bottle feeding, formula feeding, and building good sleep habits, and, you know, building that connection with your child, bonding. 2 to 6 months is a lot on sleep, respecting wake windows, teaching them to sleep independently. This will not be perfect, but you're working towards them sleeping independently, loving their crib, eating efficiently, having a schedule, having a routine, start to implement play, a lot of tummy time. Tummy time is what gives them the strength to roll, to sit, to crawl, to scooch, to stand. So tummy time is very important at that age. Side note, you don't need a million toys. 4 toys do the job. You don't need to overwhelm your child with a million things. Then 6 to 12 months, they go through changes in naps. So from 2 to 6, we work on long, consistent naps. So 3 or 4 naps of 1.5 to 2 hours. And we work on teaching them to do it on their own, so that they don't need mommy. This is not cry out. You can choose a crying method, but the key part of the whole thing is being consistent. And this goes for every age. Then 6 to 12 months, as you know, they start eating solids. So having a proper schedule for feeding, for milks, for sleep, and for play, so incorporated everything together. We encourage, in the same way we encourage independent sleep, we encourage independent eating. And this comes with practice. We have a method that we do it, and it's slow. And by 7 months, most of our babies are eating independently and eating well. We are not teaching them to play with the food. Of course, touching the food, it's a sensory experience, but it's not only about that. We're actually teaching them to eat well. And then they go transition from 3 naps to 2 naps. And it's important you space out, you know, take into consideration feeding windows, wake windows, and all of that. If your child is not sleeping independently by 6 months, by 12 months, by 3 years, whatever, we can still help you. Like, it's never too late. If you were not ready to do it, if your child is 2 years old and you haven't been ready to sleep train, and now you're ready, it doesn't mean that you're late, that your child will never sleep. It can be done at any age. So if you are ready to make a change, if there's something in your life that is not working and you're willing to make a change, it can be done. Again, with consistency, with a plan, with a method, with a lot of communication. Communication starts from, as you said, Remy, from 0. Like, when we start the proper sleep training process at 2 months, there is a lot of communication. We need to tell them, you're going to be in your bed. Mommy will always come back. And this gives them security. So at 6 months, 6 to 12 is a lot of incorporating solids, spacing out milks, and sleep again, and a lot of development. You see a lot of changes. A lot of kids start sitting on their own, crawling, standing. Some kids start walking before the year. So there is a lot of developmental changes. And by doing play is the way they learn. So by doing play, we're working on all of these developmental changes. A lot on language. You can start working on language development since very little. So we encourage that too. You might sound like a parrot, like repeating words and saying it slow and reading books, but it is. If you start early working on different things, development, motor skills, fine motor skills, gross motor skills, communication skills. If you start working on that early, you can push your child to, do it faster. And we hear it a lot, like, yeah, your child will talk. Yeah, most children will talk. But if you push it since very early, they will speak earlier, most likely, and therefore a child that speaks knows how to communicate better. So this doesn't prevent them from biting, hitting, and being frustrated, but it helps with that too. And so that's from 6 to 12. And then 12 to 18 is our next, which is a big transitions on development and the transition from 2 naps to 1 nap. They start going to school, maybe they get another sibling. And so there's a lot of changes, and that's mostly from 12 to 18. We work mostly on development.
And feeds.
And feeds. By 1 year old, by 1 year old, your child main source of nutrition should be food. And so we do it very slowly so that you don't need to go from 5 milks to 1 milk. So we do it very slowly. And most time, and probably Remy, you saw this, is that they start doing it on their own. So you get to 10 months and you're like, she's dropping off a bottle. Is that normal? And in the schedule, you drop off a bottle. So they actually do it. We go with the flow of the child. And then 18 and more, it's a lot on, sustaining the sleep habits, sustaining the eating habits. There's a lot of picky eating starting at that age. So just a lot of behavior. So working on, that's when you actually start working on
discipline.
Yeah, discipline, if you can call it like that. And then we recommend from 20 to 30 months to do the potty training, which is a big milestone too. So that's when we that's how the flow of it.
Yeah,
I don't know if you want to add anything to
After potty training, you kind of graduate until you have your next, and then you start with us again, and then we know
that's you.
Graduation.
Hey, that's literally me. I just did potty training a few weeks ago.
So proud of you for doing it.
I know.
Thank you. She did it. I'm being she did it. She was so good.
Yeah, but you took out the diaper, so you did it with her.
Yeah.
You gave her the opportunity to do it.
She just felt so proud of herself, and that was that.
Amazing. The last thing I want to say is that it's never too late to move forward. You can always move forward. You can always work on whatever you want to work on to wherever you want to get to. So even if your child is 2, we still do private consultations. Even if your child's 2, 3, 4 and still want to work on things, we got you. And it's never too late. So feel free to reach out.
And the most important thing we want to share is that we want our children to thrive and to be happy, and we want our parents to be confident and happy with their decisions too. So all of this sleep and eat and blah blah blah, it's part of the way you parent and the way if your child is rested, fed well, developing at an average or normal way, then they will most likely thrive and be happy, and you will feel very accomplished with that.
And I will tell you from experience, that's literally what it is. So pretty much everyone out there, I'm the biggest advocate. Obviously, it was when I was in the thick of it, I was like, you go, you go, you go, you go. But even still now, I'm the biggest advocate because I'm all for people loving their life, and this is part of it. So where can people find you? Everyone go, 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 please, because this is too good.
So you can go on Instagram, Todspot, Todspot. Our website is todspot.com. And you can share our private WhatsApp. They can contact us and we can get on a quick call to see how we can help you.
Amazing.
It was so nice to see you, Remy.
Oh, you guys are the best. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Thank you for listening to the series. If you like our podcast, please show us some love. Your love helps us grow and allows us to give you more of what you want. So like us, follow, review, subscribe, all of the good things. Share it with a friend, share it on your social media. It helps more than you know. We release a new episode every single Monday, so stay tuned. We love you.